Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Align Life, Brain-Based Health Solutions, Chiro HD, Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, German College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, the IFCO, and 100% Chiropractic. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 564 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
On today's episode, we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Alessandra Colón, and we talk about crack addicts and the great awakening of chiropractic. Stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today I have Alessandra Colón. She has been featured on a series. I'll let her tell you more about it, but it's TLC's latest show called Crack Addicts. And I think that we're going to talk a lot about her and her career. We're going to talk about how she grew her practice before the show, and some of the nuances within who she is becoming from the show. So I think it's really cool, great opportunity. But before we jump in and tell her story, I want to let everyone know, and everyone that listens to our show know our big why. Why do we do what we do? Well, first things first is protecting freedom of speech. It's so important for the world to not have censorship, and we've never censored anyone. Our show keeps the chiropractic message out there on all fronts that will listen to us and have us host on them. So really cool. Then we do believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. I know we were talking about some of this stuff before the show and how you position your family's health and made good decisions based on that. And we also believe in protecting the sacred trust. It's BJ Palmer's last words. If you guys don't know what the sacred trust is, go and search for BJ Palmer's last words or search for BJ Palmer sacred trust. You're going to know more about chiropractic than you previously did. I guarantee you, because what it talks about is protecting this profession. And I think that if every chiropractor read it, they'd have a bit more zest for protecting what they do. And then we do believe in subluxation-based chiropractic. We believe that when man or woman, the physical is adjusted, it connects man or woman, the spiritual. And with that being said, Dr. Alessandra Colón, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, I saw you taking a bunch of photos at the Women's Chiropractic Conference. And I'm friends with a lot of the ladies that are in the leadership of that group. And I was like, so Alessandra is down there hanging out with the WDC group. Pretty cool.
I'm a pretty lucky gal, man. I've had an awesome following since the show and a major support system. So I'm all about it. Send the love.
And then I think maybe I'm mistaken, but then you ended up going up to the group in Michigan. The MAC.
Yeah.
And I'm friends with a lot of people in that leadership group too, in that organization. So it was cool to see you bounce from the WDC group up to the MAC, the Michigan Chiropractic Group. And I know there's a lot more things that are coming in 24 for you. But before we get too far down the line, let's just open up with your story. How did you get into become a chiropractor? How did you choose chiropractic out of every other thing you could have possibly been a part of?
God, this is a long story, so I'm trying to make it short. I honestly always thought I was going to grow up singing. I was like little Mariah Carey in my family. My brother was actually like the really intelligent one, and he still is, by the way. Not that I'm not smart, but he's on a whole other level. And I had cancer. And after having cancer, it really changed my perspective on things. And so I applied to be a medical doctor. Went to apply for Cal Berkeley, took my MCATs, and I was on that whole route. And, because my mom told me it was a great idea. And I thought it was a great idea too. And so I did that whole thing. I did my pre-medical studies, and I still just didn't find myself truly fulfilled. And so I started asking myself, like, what makes me happy? And I had a lot of complications from chemo. and radiation, gut issues, mental health issues that I hadn't really harnessed from the trauma I had been through. And my friend just told me, hey, why don't you go spend time with a chiropractor? And I was like, you mean a quack? Like, I'm not going to go do that. That's ridiculous. But then I did. And I actually ended up interning with a chiropractor in Margate, New Jersey, like every summer. And the first thing he, taught me about was the chiropractic triad: nutrition, mental, and the physical well-being. And I thought to myself, like, wait a second, there's like doctors out here that like care if like all those things match up, like that's optimal health. Like I thought that was just the wildest thing. And I was like, if I'm going to be a doctor, this is the kind of doctor I want to be. And sure enough, I called my mom, said I'm not going to med school. That did not go over well. And I applied the next day for chiropractic school in Palmer Chiropractic, Florida, in Florida, Daytona.
Yeah. So how old were you when you made that decision?
I was a senior in college because I had just like applied for like my MCATs and all my medical schools. So I had to have been like 2021. Like, nope, I'm not going, Mom. Sorry, spent all this money for nothing. Again, it really did not go over well. That was a hard course. That was a hard pill for my family to swallow. Mostly because we've all come from medical doctors, and we all know that there's a lot of, chiro doctor, we're not real doctors, all that kind of stuff. But I had to follow my gut, and at the end of the day, what brought me joy, and I've been in ever since.
How old were you when you got your first chiropractic adjustment?
Ready for this? When I had entered chiropractic school and I decided to continue doing my externship, I got adjusted by the guy in Margate, New Jersey.
So not even before you decided to become a chiropractor. Nope. and based on that, how could you encourage people that might listen to our show that are considering a career in chiropractic to maybe say that might be right for me too?
To try it out. There's no fear, right? What really made me want to go for chiropractic was that there was somebody willing to listen to me, my mental health issues, and then connect the mental with the physical. Whether I was ready for the physical part, maybe that wasn't the case, but I had someone who actually listened to me. And as doctors, right, we have this obligation to do what we do well, but we forget to listen to the patient. And I think you can put all the science in the world you want. You can put evidence all you want on it, but there's still an instinct, and there's that innateness that is alive in all of us. And I had to listen to that innateness and trust my gut that there was something bigger going on, and I wanted to dig deeper. So if you ever feel that gut instinct that your doctor's not answering questions, you're just not completely happy with your health care, you need to trust your instinct. And that's what we do.
Yeah, I think that's really important to hear from you to, people that will listen to the show. Is so many times people don't know where to go or who to trust, and they subordinate to a system that's fractioned and broken, and they find themselves in a deeper hole than what they were originally in, because now they have to do this for something that they thought was going to actually make them healthy.
Right. Instead of listening to their gut saying something's not right, I needed to dig deeper. Right. Mm-hmm. And we become comfortable with those things. Don't get comfortable with your health. Protect your health.
So fast forward to the TV series. I know that Crack Addicts, as you said, it became international, national. Everybody's listening and watching clips. How did you take your practice from where you were and grow it to the point where you were actually running a profitable, fun practice before Crack Addicts found you?
Oh man, this is a tough one. And I know it might not resonate with everybody. I'm really good at just being who I am. I think when we get, the MC or the DC behind us or the NP, we automatically put on this white coat and we assume that we're, I'm a doctor. We walk around like we're doctors, which I'm not saying it's not a beautiful thing. We spent many hours in clinical studies. We should honor that we're doctors. But I also couldn't tell you what engineer does, and it's a specialty too, right? So I always felt that, yes, I'm a doctor and that's my specialty, but my real bread and butter is connecting with patients and being who I am. And I just had a way about being real. honestly. And I think my patients really felt that. So my doors were always full. I rarely did external marketing. All of my marketing was from patient to patient and word of mouth. And that's such a beautiful thing when you can learn to honor who you are. Don't try and be something that you're not.
So you're telling me like organically you're just like making social media posts.
Yeah. I saw that the evolution of our world, right, and the adaptation is going that route. It's going to social media. We can't sit back and I'm not saying don't do clinical, screens. I'm not saying don't go out and do those things. They are still relevant. You can still do dinner talks if that's what you do and you do them well. But understand that law of adaptation is still relevant, and you need to be able to adapt. And so I naturally just started doing things. I was come from in front of the camera, and that eventually led me to my television series.
So it was a TikTok that kind of got the attention of the TLC group.
Yes. And by the way, I thought that like I was like funny. So I like did all my own videos for TikTok. And so I did one video that actually copycatted Dr. Remix. And that was the one that hit like everywhere, 17.2 million views about period cramps. And here I was thinking that I was doing something original. I wasn't, by the way. And it hit big enough to get a television series.
So first season, what's it been like for you?
Everything. It's been tough. It's been awesome. It's been real. It's been hard. It's been absolutely amazing. It's been lovely. It's been a whirlwind of emotions. I really couldn't tell you. I went from fearing what the whole world was going to think of me, fearing who I was, fearing maybe who I was becoming, letting go of preconceived notions about who I was and who I wasn't, to building a waiting line of 15,000 patients, and then literally having a baby, birthing a new practice, and birthing a television show within 8 months. And learning not only so much about chiropractic and what I'm capable of, but also who I was. It's been a journey. It still is. I am fully admitting to the fact that I'm in transition. But I'm not going to say no to any opportunities because this is way bigger than me. And that's something that I'm trying to honor, because it is tough to do what I'm doing. I'm going to pretend like it's easy. But it's so incredibly beautiful and rewarding. And I don't take it for granted.
So season 1, how many episodes were like 6?
We got 3 episodes.
3 episodes.
We weren't really supposed to have a show. When TLC came, they just wanted to do a pilot and then shoot that pilot to the executive producers and say like, hey, like we may or may not have a season here. And then I just kind of blew their mind when they realized what chiropractic was and they were shooting the pilot. They came in thinking it was like next and max. That's it.
Yeah, and you started taking care of one of the sound techs.
And so it was the last day. I'm like, has anybody looked at the crew? Something's wrong with that guy. They're holding like boom mics for like hours. Like, I'm tired after a day of 50 patients. Like, that's exhausting what they do. I mean, guys, production's like maybe harder than being a doctor.
Hey, I mean, we've done a couple of films, so I know, like working long days, interviewing people, holding steady, catching the special moments,
and being on all day.
Editing is like the hardest part. Like editors are like hierarchy, like the greatest people in the world. Like the editor makes everything better.
Listen, I was lucky. I think the producers came in and they were just like, we got something here. And I'm such a, well, I say weird, people say unique. That they had enough, they had enough B-roll to go around for a very long time.
So I know this might not be a fair question, but I have to ask you, will there be a season 2?
I can't answer that. There are some things in the works and I can say that.
Well, I had to ask. So the effect of crack addicts, do you believe that it's doing what you've been able to accomplish so far has helped chiropractic and helped chiropractors across the board?
100%. I had more imposter syndrome than you could possibly imagine. One, because it wasn't about impressing the nation, it was about impressing my profession. Because we have like 15,000 versions of chiropractic care. And how the hell am I going to be like, oh, yeah, well, I'm not Principal Gonstead, or I'm not this, or I'm not, Maximize Living, or I'm not an activator specialist. I mean, come on. It's like, how do you embody everything? And you can't, right? So I was really, really nervous about how it was going to be perceived within our profession, because I wanted to be able to capture the evidence. I wanted to be able to capture the philosophy. I wanted to be able to capture, nerve interference and speaking to the body. But I also wanted to be true to who I was, which is just funky and fun and just over the top ridiculous, which is also health too, because that's happiness.
Yeah, when I first watched it, I was a huge, I mean, I don't watch anything. I don't even own a television. So it takes a lot for me to say, I'm going to go watch this thing. So I actually went out of my way to find your show and to watch it. And the first things that originally resonated with me is, wow, she is a great chiropractor. And that was my first takeaway, is she's really doing a great job portraying what chiropractic is to the mainstream public. And I thought that was important.
On one end, you have all these patients who are like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know I had a spinal fusion. I can work above and below the segment. I didn't know you did pediatric care. I didn't know you did this. And on the other end, to this day, I have chiropractors reaching out saying, thank you. Because of your show, I had 5 new patients this week. I mean, I've done my job.
That's what I was angling towards earlier. It's helping chiropractic across the board with its perception to the public.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool.
So let's talk about the truth about chiropractic and how you've had to navigate that whole messaging within your own personal life, but also with the messaging behind the series.
I'm probably going to say something that I shouldn't, but you said freedom of speech. So I'm here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's important as chiropractors, one in our profession, but then also from the outsider's perspective, to have people understand the history of chiropractic. We forget that. We need to remember where we came from. We need to remember our foundation, right? And we can all agree that there was a lot of indoctrination when it came to the AMA and the chiropractic associations. So we really were not validated, even though we've been around since 1800s, right? We weren't really validated as doctors to 1992 when we won in Supreme Court. So for the world, right, even though we know this, we're pretty new. We're pretty new to medicine, to modern medicine. And I think that that's important to know, because the past 3 years, we have seen, whether or not we can agree to disagree on this, I think we can maybe all agree that the past 3 years have been really difficult for everybody. And as a result of those past 3 years, people are having an amazing awakening. They're realizing, I need to look at my food. I need to look at my processed goods and my diet. I need to go back and maybe look at my exercise. Hey, maybe I want an electric car. You can agree or not. But everybody's in this go green era. And so what's happening now is that people are now like, I'm over medicated, right? Maybe I should seek chiropractic care, and maybe I should start from the body, right? Because it can heal itself. And so I really think that we're just getting started as a profession. I genuinely believe that people are starting to wake up in masses to the potential of their health. And I think they're starting to realize that chiropractic, we're just getting started. We're just rolling up our sleeves.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Align Life, Brain-Based Health Solutions, Chiro HD, Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, German College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, the IFCO, and 100% Chiropractic. Let's hustle.
So I pack this into my question set that I send out to people, and I ask it sometimes I don't. But now that we've set the foundation for this, where's the profession going? Where do you see the profession starting to expand to? Do you see it contracting? Do you see it developing in a different way? Like
Integrative.
what integrative?
Integrative. It's already happening. You're starting to see doctors realize, hey, people want this. Okay, they might not agree with it, but I know for a fact that Total MD, which is like an urgent care center in our area, is already getting chiropractors in the urgent care center. Guys, this is huge. This is huge. They're telling us that we are just as valid as any other doctor on the planet. This is enormous, right? They're saying that there is now value that when they come in for a specialist, they might want to have a chiropractor on board.
Well,
integrative medicine is here.
I think that that's brilliant. And a lot of times I talk marketing on the show, and I try to encourage chiropractors to go out there and find the urgent cares in their community and meet with those providers and meet with those specialists and meet with the people that are getting like the lion's share of walk-ins and say, hey, I want to be your referral source for the cases that you can't take because you're unable to help these types of cases. Can you please send them to me? We can take x-rays you take and integrate them into our practice, or we can shoot spot shots on them and find out what's going on. And we can treat that patient the right way through a chiropractic method, where I know that you probably feel like you're over prescribing and you're doing all types of unnecessary small like surgeries, or you're referring out to bigger bills for these patients. And they didn't come there because they had great insurance, number one. They came there because they're trying to walk into a walk-in clinic and get service the right way. And then I also tell them to do the same thing with the joints. Go into joints and build relationships with those membership model practices that don't shoot x-rays and don't want hot discs, and they don't want radiculopathy cases, and they don't want tough, challenging cases. They just want to be an adjusting mill. I was like,
the other part, right, is I think you and I kind of talked about this beforehand a little bit, is that as chiropractors, and again, you might not like me for saying so, we need to get out of our own way, right? We can say by me doing integrative medicine, I have a wellness spa coming up now. We could say that that's not principled chiropractic, but maybe it is that it is, I am principled chiropractic, but isn't the bigger picture by being integrative that we're helping more people across the board, regardless of how that looks? And as physicians, didn't we sign up for that? So I would opt to say do it all.
Well, when I first got into chiropractic, our main mantra was help more people. Like that was all our team meetings were about. How can we help more people? And I think that if that's like the common thread with chiropractic services, you could, a lot of people that will watch a show, you might not know this, but there's two foundations of chiropractic. There's straights and there's mixers. And it goes back to the first walking chiropractor, D.D. Palmer. He didn't even know if he was going to release chiropractic to the masses because he wanted it to be a family secret. And now the family secret's grown over the past 127 years into what we know it as today. And some people, all they believe in is that you should check and detect and correct vertebral subluxation by hand only. And you should only move 1 to 2 bones in the top of the neck. So that's a differentiating like positioning of ideology. And then there's the mixer who's like, okay, let's talk nutrition. Let's talk, what's going into your body. Let's talk, what are you doing for your habits? What does your blood look like? What does your spit look like? What does your poop look like? And they're getting more, inside the body rather than just focusing on the check, detect, correct, or the vertebral subluxation. So a lot of people that will listen to the show, Dr. Alessandra, they'll be like, whoa, that I did not know that. So you have to encapsulate some philosophy into these interviews so people that do watch it are a bit more understanding of why you want to create a med spa environment. Because there's an old saying in marketing, give people what they want, sell them what they need. And I think that that's the big thing is the bigger the funnel or the bigger the net that you make, the more people that you can bring into chiropractic. And that's why a long time I've told people that I'm not against the joint model, because there's millions of people that have gotten into a chiropractic facility that would have not have done it otherwise.
100%. We have to learn how to support each other no matter how that looks, because the greater good is serving people, and the greater good is serving our clients as physicians. And we took that oath.
Yeah, so I mean, even one more kudos to the joint. I always tell young docs to go out and work there for 6 months if they're not certain of opening their own practice, because they get their hands on a lot of people and their adjusting confidence goes up, and they learn how to work their butt off because those offices see a lot of people.
Yes, and the working your butt off never stops.
So let's go back to the show a little bit. I'm really curious. I know I kind of mentioned this to you before we're going to go live, but how did you pick the people that you were going to take as cases and new patients into your practice? I know a lot of people came from different parts of the country.
Yes, they did. They came all over from all different states of the country. They were literally from all over. I had some say in that I could kind of tell them a generalization of maybe types of patients I couldn't see, or types of patients that I could see and types of patients I did treat, but I had no actual say so in what they brought to the show. And in fact, I wasn't allowed to meet anybody until the day they would come to film, and they would hold them in the front of the building and be like, nope, you need to stay in your office, because they really truly wanted my authentic reaction and my authentic diagnostic skills, which was really hard because if you haven't seen the show, I have some pretty darn extreme cases. So it was, honestly, it was the most challenging, awesome thing ever.
Yeah, I was watching it and I was like some of the cases you would take, like the dancer guy. Like
he's a little bit double jointed, but a lot of his elasticity in the hips comes from dancing for so many years. And again, as a chiropractor, I can't fix hypermobility. We can talk about strengthening and regrouping of the muscles and making things stronger, but as a dancer, he wants to actually maintain that flexibility. So it really becomes about narrowing down what that patient's goals are and attainable goals, especially for that visit. Because I think a lot of people expected that, and they still do expect that. Now suddenly I'm like, Harry Potter or a wizard who fixes people and want to adjust, and I don't. But I always try to make attainable goals for my patients, and one of his attainable goals was to be in less pain during that episode, and we achieved it. So you have to reel it back and teach them about chiropractic and make sure that you're not practicing any wizardry.
Yeah, that's the other part, is to uphold the miracle that's created on the media. That's also something else that we all have to take in consideration too, is like chiropractic's a lifestyle. Chiropractic is something you do from womb to tomb, from first breath to last breath, from cradle to grave. Like, it's a part of life. It's not something that you go in and get an expensive Advil and somebody just like pops you and all of a sudden like all of your like life's concerns are like washed away. No, it's something that you have to participate in, and you have to be a good patient, and you have to show up when the doctor says you should show up and makes recommendations for you, and not try to dictate your care. And I find that a lot of times, like, the patient wants to come in and be like, yep, I'll see you, but only for the 2 to 3 times that I think I need you, and then I'll call you. And it's like, the reason that chiropractic works is because chiropractors create care plans that are recommended for you and that you should stick with if you want the ultimate outcome, and that's a quality life. And I think that that's really what the profession needs to hear, the people watching this needs to hear, and the people that watch your show need to hear, because people ultimately, they need to know that it's not just a quick fix. It's a part of your life. And it's like, if you're going to drink clean drinking water, you should do that. But you should also think about other things that make you healthy. And that's chiropractic.
Yeah, and it's easy, right? I personally think we probably need to do a better job of setting expectations, right? Since the show, because it's not, sometimes when you talk in circles around your patients about subluxation, they're not hearing anything you're saying. You need to make it relevant to who they are and set the expectations straight from the beginning. Hey, like, I'm not undoing your arthritis, but we're doing this, right? And with the show, to this day, I have extreme clients, and I mean extreme class. I have dystonias, I have brain stimulators, ataxia, EDS, like no tomorrow. I mean, I have extreme cases. They're flooding in. Now all of a sudden I'm like, this god of chiropractic in extreme cases. So it's really, really important for me to set the tone from day one. Hey, listen, like, I'm not going to make you stop having 200 electric seizures, but we can do this, right?
Yeah. If your nervous system's firing properly, you have a better chance of having a better quality of life with those seizures.
Right. And so that's helped me as a doctor, right? These patients are actually helping me in return become a better physician. That's the beautiful part about it.
What about the gal that came in with her friend that was in the wheelchair, I believe?
Allie. Allie had EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, also hypermobility. Again, any doctor in the universe would say that she's completely contraindicated to care because by putting motion to the joint, we're increasing her hyperflexibility. I say no. I say let's coach her on strengthening. Let's look at the accessory muscles, and instead of doing like the $1 million role in her, let's be very specific in how we adjust her, and make sure that we're treating very particular areas instead of just the whole way down. So I was really, and you don't need to have some massive adjustment to get the job done. You just need to be specific.
Well, I saw her life just like flash up like on the show, and like how she came in one way. I mean, my first gig, I'll tell you, I used to do patient testimonials. I used to go around the country and interview chiropractic patients and say, what was your life like before chiropractic? What is it like now that you're getting care? And, and just ask a couple basic things to people. And that's basically what your show is, but it's like a really well-produced show that explains to people, what is your life like now? And what is your life like with chiropractic? And that's really the premise of what you've created with that first season. So really cool. I was super enthusiastic to watch it. I was going to be a massive critic if it sucked. It didn't. And I'm really thankful that you're doing a great job in promoting chiropractic and not only being a mama-practor, but also, now you're taking on more speaking gigs and more leadership roles, and you're growing your practice, and whatever business ventures come your way, you've just learned how to expand, and you've learned how to own the position. And I think that one of my ideas of interviewing you was I hope that what we accomplish today will give people the understanding that we can all do a better job at marketing chiropractic. Because I said before the show, like every chiropractor wants to be you, because they want to have that positioning of I did more to promote and protect this profession, and every chiropractor wants that opportunity. So I think it's really cool. You have 17 speaking gigs already set up for next year. Hopefully I'll come out and see you on some of them, and we can stay in touch over the time. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience today?
Oh gosh, no, I think my takeaway with a lot of things that have been going on is, and I always tell it to people, is to truly harness who you are as a chiropractor. Don't be afraid to shout your story. Don't be afraid to get out there and tell patients, tell your friends and family. Guys, get on social media. It might not be you entirely, but it is a necessary evil sometimes. And because remember that the greater good is to leave this place a better world than we found it, including our profession. So I have every intention of making sure that we as chiropractors continue to thrive.
Protect the sacred trust.
Amen.
If people wanted to learn more about you or work with you or get to know you or ask you anything, where can we send them to?
You could see me on IG, misschiropractic.com. My website is also misschiropractic.com. It is fugly right now. Like I said, I'm in transition. I'm working on my website, but always go there. I am also working on a national directory that is coming out in 2024. I have, like I said earlier, I have 15,000 patients in the waiting line. So I'm trying to find chiropractors in every state that'd be willing to take patients and be synergetic with the way that I practice. So if you think that's you, go to misschiropractic.com and sign up as an affiliate chiropractor. I am so excited. It's about helping people. And guys, this isn't just the nation. I'm talking Germany. I'm talking worldwide, Australia. I have people flying in for 3 months at a time to come get treatment. And if you think that could be you, by all means, get on board. I'm here to give you some patience.
Well, that's the coolest part about this is you're definitely serving the profession. You're creating this national database at misschiropractic.com, helping chiropractors connect with 15,000 patients up for grabs. Join it, guys. Check it out. If you haven't caught on yet, Dr. Alessandra Colón is the gal that's a chiropractor in the Crack Addict show on TLC. Go check out the YouTube clips from it. Just find out what she's doing out there, support her. And if she's coming to an event near you, check out where she's coming in 2024. Dr. Alessandra, thanks for being our guest today. You're episode 564 of the Chiro Hustle podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I have a joy doing this.
Well, we love what we do. And I always close out by telling everyone, you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.